Hello and welcome to my lossless fire making guide. Now, what lossless fire making means is whenever you are doing wood cutting, there is a certain amount of experience per hour that you are able to get, and you cannot physically exceed that. And so, while you could simply just do bonfire fire making and sit there and AFK, you're able to put bonfire fire making and implement it into woodcutting and do them both at the same exact time without losing time on each other. So with absolutely no loss to woodcutting experience per hour, you're able to gain a large amount of fire making experience per hour, which basically means that fire making takes no time in and of itself. And so it is practically infinite experience per hour. However, you're not going to actually get 200 million experience within a single hour of playing. It's just that while you play and do fire making, it doesn't take any time away from what you would have spent wood cutting anyway. So this guide takes a large understanding of the RuneScape clock, the tick system that is in RuneScape. So if you do not know about it or you do not understand it fully, I would definitely suggest going and checking out Jamal's Batman's video. It's going to be linked down at the top of the description down below. And if you do know about RuneScape clock and the tick system that's in place, then you don't necessarily have to watch that video, but either way, it's an absolutely amazing and really good video that explains everything. And there might even be something in there that you aren't sure of or you didn't know previously that even a veteran player who's been playing for years might not have been able to catch or know that information is in that video form. So definitely go check it out, but if you're confident in your skills and your knowledge and your understanding of ticks, you don't necessarily absolutely have to. Either way, I'm going to get into the tick explanation for this specific method. So hopefully you understand more about how ticks in RuneScape work. And with this image that's up on screen right now, I have two different tick paths that you can follow. And the first one is just what actually happens if you were to do woodcutting and fire making by themselves. So whenever you're woodcutting and you're doing just woodcutting, you have your start tick, you have your two wait ticks, and then you have your chance tick. And then as soon as that chance tick is done, you then go back and repeat that cycle with a start, two waits, and then a chance, over and over and over. And then with bonfiring, you have a start tick, then you have your 5 wait ticks, and then you have a start tick again. Now the reason why the start tick in woodcutting is red and the chance tick in woodcutting is green is because when you start, you can't have any other actions happen at the same time at which you start a woodcutting phase. And so you can't actually start your bonfire on the same tick that you start your woodcutting. And so that's why I have the second sort of picture down below here where it shows what you're actually going to be doing. And this basically just takes fire making and offsets it by 1, and then you have 2 ticks at which you just don't do anything in between. So you can see when you start your woodcutting, you don't actually do anything in your fire making. So when you combine the two, you can do woodcutting, you can have your start tick on woodcutting when you have a nothing tick on fire making, because obviously you're doing nothing. But then in the 2 wait ticks that you have for your woodcutting, you're able to then start your fire making, your bonfire, and if you do it within either of those 2 wait phases, then you're good, because if you click back on the tree, then the 4th tick is when you're able to get that log. And then again, after you hit that chance tick, you have to do another start and chance phase for woodcutting before you can then try to bonfire another log, which would then be on the third log that you cut. So you would cut one, bonfire it, cut a second one, cut a third one, or cut a second one, and then as soon as you start cutting the third one, you use the next log on the bonfire. Now, I understand that this might be decently confusing, and I'm putting this picture in here just to hopefully give you some sort of visual representation of it. So if you want to come back and look at this graph or this picture or whatever, you're able to do so. I'm going to go into the video, and seeing an actual live demonstration of it is more easily understood, at least in my opinion. But again, if it's easier for you to understand by looking at this simple graph here, then definitely come back to here. Or if you don't understand the live presentation, live demonstration, come back to here and hopefully try and figure it out a little bit more as well. So however it takes you to figure out how to do this method, definitely go about doing it that way. So we're going to go into the actual live demonstration. So if you understood that, then that's great, but if you didn't, then bear with me. So very simple just knowledge here is the best place to cut willows is on the Daemonheim Peninsula. So the easiest way to get here is just use a ring of kinship, teleport to Daemonheim, and you teleport right around here, and you can run over here. So in terms of urns to bring, I'm only bringing 6 right now, but that's more so for demonstration purposes, so I have a little bit more of a buffer. What you want to do is work your way sort of down in terms of how many free inventory spots you have, and I right now, whenever I'm actually training woodcutting, will go with about 20 urns, so I only have about 8 free inventory spaces. But when you start learning this method, you definitely want to start with a little bit less urns. So you need 35 dungeoneering to enter here, and do not cut maple logs, and do not use a steel hatchet. You do not want to do any woodcutting at all without the highest tier woodcutting axe. There's no reason you should ever do any of that. So if you have to, just wait until you've mined enough ore and done enough Artisan's Workshop to get a rune hatchet. Do not do woodcutting with an addy hatchet, or a myth hatchet, or any other hatchet besides a rune hatchet. So anyway, once you get here, you need to know that these 2 willow trees are, let me tell him, give me a second, I'm making a video. So anyway, these 2 willow trees are where you are going to be making 100% of your gains. All of your gains are going to be on these 2 trees. So the reasoning as to why it's these 2 trees specifically is because they both share one common point. And also, you should just zoom in. It's a little bit easier. You don't have to. It's a convenience thing. But basically, you can be chopping this tree right here while interacting with the square that is right here. So if I drop this log, basically imagine that being a fire. I can interact with the fire while chopping this tree, and then if I go over to this tree over here, I am able to interact with the fire as well. And so there are other setups like this with other trees in free-to-play with willows, but this is the quickest to get to, and there's no reason that you should just waste your time somewhere else. So anyway, another bit of convenience is you want to drag your inventory out of wherever you normally have it. And this also is another, convenience thing. It's on you, however you want to have your inventory. But I normally go with basically the 2 rows of 14 pieces or inventory slots each, and then I position it so that it's going to be right over that fire, so that it's much easier to basically, when I right click my logs in my inventory and click use, my cursor's already right over that fire right there. So that's what I do. If you want to do something that makes it easier for your own setup, then definitely do that instead. So the first thing that you want to do is light the fire without wasting any time. And so in order to do that, you need to click light on the willow logs in the wait ticks of your wood cutting. So as soon as you get a log, you go over, you light that, you come back, and then you start chopping again, and you get a willow log as soon as you're able to. You don't miss any chance phases. So the only way that you can lose out on woodcutting experience per hour is if you miss any given chance phase. So that's one way of negating missing any chance phases when actually lighting the fire itself. Now the way to tell whether you've missed a chance phase or not is when I click on this tree, you see the "you swing your hatchet at the tree" message down here. And so what happens is I can be chopping this tree and I can walk away, and if I do it at the correct timing, I get another "you swing your hatchet at the tree," or if I just wait long enough, then I'll get another "you swing your hatchet at the tree." But the point is, you don't want to be getting that message. You want to be getting that message as absolutely minimally as possible. And you can switch between trees in order to do that. So if I swing here, I got that one message, and as soon as if I get a log, and as soon as I get that log, I go over here. You see, I'm starting to chop this tree, but I didn't get the "you swing your hatchet at the tree" message. So that is definitely the best way to go about figuring out whether or not you've missed any chance phases. So the next thing that I want to talk about is teleporting urns away. So you can teleport your urn by either clicking on it or using an action bar slot in order to teleport it. And neither of these is objectively better. Both of them interrupt your woodcutting phase that you're on, but teleporting it from the action bar doesn't make it so that you stop doing that action. So for example, that might be a little bit hard to understand, but for example, when I click on this tree, 4 ticks later I'm able to get a log. But if I click on this tree and then 2 ticks later I teleport my urn and then I re-click on the tree, it's going to be 4 more ticks. So that interruption is what will happen regardless of if you click it on your inventory or if you use it in your action bar. The only difference is if you do it through your action bar, you don't have to re-click on the tree, wherein if you do it through your inventory, you do have to re-click on the tree. But you don't want to do either of those. The best way to go about actually teleporting an urn away is do that on the same tick as your chance phase, or the tick right after your chance phase. So what you can do is basically, as soon as you get a log, teleport it away and click right on it. And so there, I didn't actually get the log in that chance tick, but I didn't miss the chance tick. As you can see down here, I also didn't have to re-swing my hatchet. So even though I didn't get a log right away, it doesn't mean that I missed the chance tick. It just means that on the chance tick I didn't get a success. So now with all of that, those are all the more minor details. Again, here I'm going to demonstrate lighting the fire, and right there obviously the tree was down, but I did it in such a way wherein I would have been able to re-click on the tree had it not gone down, and I wouldn't have missed any chance ticks. But now to show you the actual method here. So as soon as you get a log, you can use it and then keep going. However, if you get a log on that very next chance tick, you aren't able to throw another log on the fire in that same phase, because of the fact that if I try to, for example right now I'll do it, see, it takes time. It takes 2 extra ticks in order to throw it on the fire, but if you wait, you're able to throw it on the fire here, go back to cutting, and then as soon as you get your next log, throw it on the fire and go back to cutting without losing any ticks. So again, like I said, I've taken less urns for demonstration purposes, and that's because I needed a bit more of a buffer to explain this to you. So, if you're doing it actively, it's unlikely that you're going to fill up your entire inventory. But if, maybe you have to go AFK for a second, maybe you just didn't get the timing right and you need to restart throwing some of the logs on the fire. Basically, something happens where you need to get rid of logs quicker. You're not getting rid of them quick enough because you're filling up your inventory too quickly. What you're able to do is, instead of just throwing one on the fire, you're able to drop one in that same tick. So it's the same exact thing, for example, right? But I just throw out that other log as well. So again, I'll show you. As soon as I get a log, throw it out as well. Keep going. Again, I had to switch trees there, so it wasn't as good, but I'll get a log, throw that one out. I messed up that time. I'll get a log, throw that one on the fire, throw that one out, and then keep going without getting the you swing your hatchet at the tree, so I didn't miss any chance ticks, even though I got rid of 2 logs rather than just 1 log. So this method takes time to learn. You're not going to learn it over the course of an hour, over the course of 2 hours, or even 3 hours. I have done it for over 100 hours and I still make mistakes. So don't get frustrated if you don't get it working perfectly. Don't get frustrated if you're losing out 5k woodcutting experience per hour by doing this method instead, because of the fact that you're not accustomed to the method yet. It takes time to learn, and in learning, you're going to eventually get to the point where you are able to do this basically flawlessly. Not 100% flawlessly, but to a degree that makes it so that your fire making experience is just rolling in, and you don't even worry about fire making. You just need to worry about actually woodcutting. So I hope that you guys are able to understand this, and I hope that you take the time to learn the method without just writing it off, because it is one of the, if not the most efficient thing to do as a free-to-play account, because of the fact that fire making will just slow you down by a huge amount of hours if you just sit here and AFK and throw logs on a fire. So hopefully you understand, and I hope you guys can do this method. Hopefully you can learn it. But that's it for the guide, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Good luck. Have fun.